Hey everybody, welcome to our video, our live today, guys.
You were gonna say our channel. Technically, this is our channel. It's our Facebook channel, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you want to call it that.
It is indeed. I wonder if the audio is good. Let me check real quick.
Okay, testing. We've got new mics.
It is indeed.
Ooh, we sound good.
Testing.
We've got new mics.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, I don't want to hear myself anymore.
Okay. Well.
Ooh, that means we can't yell because we're probably gonna be loud.
We might be.
Well, I hope you guys are doing good on this evening. If you're watching the replay, hello.
Hi.
I'm Crystal.
I'm Robert.
This is Robert. I realize we don't ever introduce ourselves.
They know who we are.
How? How do they know? Only some of these people are. Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Only some of these people know who we are in real life.
No, but I'm saying if they've been watching our videos, they should know who we are by now.
I guess, but we don't ever introduce ourselves. So how would they know that?
That's true. We are the Townsends.
Yeah. Well, that was evident. That part was evident.
We the Townsends.
Yes. Crystal Townsend, Robert Townsend.
Yes. We are reintroducing ourselves.
And it's Transparent with the Townsends.
Yeah.
On awesome. Transparent Thursday.
Live.
Yay.
So
that was so fake. Okay, anyway.
Welcome guys, as you guys are hopping on. Oh, do I need to go ahead and comment, huh? Don't I?
I don't know. I don't know what you need to do.
Can I do it?
I don't know how to work this thing.
Well, I probably can't do it. Oh well.
I don't know. I can do it. You can go ahead and talk.
Sure, you figure that out.
Yeah, you talk. They like to hear you talk.
So guys,
I'm here to listen.
You are not here to listen. Don't be trying to fool these people with that. So hey guys, so the topic for tonight, or focus of today's live, is transparency in marriage. Guys, we're gonna be talking about what it means to be transparent, which is interesting, right? Transparent. The Townsends talking about transparency, and then
not really. It's not that interesting.
We're gonna go ahead and just put down my.
I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't be putting you down. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Do you feel put down?
I won't say put down is the right word. It's kind of like one of those things you think you have a clever joke or a clever comment, and it's like, no, it's not that clever. It's just like, eh. So, yeah.
Oh, that was your clever joke?
You didn't even let me finish.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, it's cool now. I'm not doing it again. You made me feel stupid.
I'm sorry.
So, anyways,
I didn't mean it.
it's all no, we're so good. So, topic today is transparency in marriage. We're gonna talk about it, right? So, what do you feel? Well, should I start with a question?
I don't know. It's your channel. You do what you
want
to do.
It's not my channel. It's our channel. What are you doing?
Your life, bro.
My life. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's how you are?
Yeah.
Okay. So, transparency. How do you view transparency?
Being honest and being open, and I mean, I guess just not like lying and feeling false, I think. You know? Yeah.
I think I'd agree, but I also think like transparency is like burying myself before you.
Oh.
Like, if scientifically, if you want to go that route, right? So, I mean, I got the mic. Why do I need to raise my volume?
I don't know.
So scientifically, I mean, if you have like, what is it, like a transparent glass? Like you're able to visibly see everything that's within the glass. Mm-hmm. And so like for me, I guess I consider it from that standpoint too. Like transparency is like the ability to fully see everything, like fully being bared before. Like honesty and truth and all that's very important. It's a part of transparency. But I think transparency takes a certain level of vulnerability that I think people don't consider when they think about honesty. Like honesty, I think is more like a common like I just need to be truthful about what I said, but I don't need to be like, I don't need to be vulnerable to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like honesty is me not lying about something that actually happened or something I actually did or something I said or how I feel, but that doesn't require me to take the next step and be a little bit more vulnerable, to be the transparent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can get that. Transparent is basically like a deeper level of honesty and more of a more vulnerable level, I guess. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I think as far as transparency in marriage, I often wonder how many people are very transparent in their marriage because I think in today's day and age, like we do still live very separate lives, you know. I think back in, especially like the biblical times or the Bible, I think the family unit was just more cohesive, I guess.
Yes.
And so nowadays, where I mean, not all couples, but most couples both work outside the home or they don't necessarily work together. So they spend a lot of time living separate lives. And I think even in the world, we condone living like a separate life. Like you don't need to spend all your time with your partner or this, that, and the other. And I think that's true. But back in the day, the woman was very much dependent on her husband.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know our world is different, and I don't even know if we could go back to that because that's just a totally different time and age. But I think there was a certain dependency that led to more vulnerability and more transparency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, well, it was interesting. I was telling you about this the other day about how, like, I was reading this article. It was talking about how, like, 40% of, like, women who don't have kids yet would actually want to be taken care of or stay at home, or housemaker. I don't even know what that word really means. And then like 60% of women who have kids would like to stay home with their kids and have the husband actually be the breadwinner and bring home and take care of the family.
Yeah.
So I think more women are, I guess, in the craziness of the world that we're going with now, are actually going back to that, where they want to have that more. They don't want to have that separate life, that separate from their family. They don't want to have that disconnect. They want to be able to have that. I don't know if that's necessarily something that is within our particular marriage, because I mean, I feel like for us, there's a certain level of like you want to be able to, you know, fluctuate. Well, fluctuate is the right word, but you want to be able to like work and do certain aspects of things. And we don't have kids yet, so you want something to keep you busy, I guess.
Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think because our lives sometimes are so separate that it can be hard to sit down and have a conversation about deep things.
That's true.
Because when you're both working, or even just like, I guess like you go outside of the house, I go outside of the house, or whatever we do, like our lives just feel more separate.
Right.
And so it's hard to sometimes sit down and just talk deep with someone. Like, oh, hey, what did you do today? And actually care.
Right.
Or like not look on your phone.
Right.
And I think phones is a huge
distraction.
Part
Yep.
in today's day and age. And you know, we had an episode called Paying Attention to Your Spouse on our channel, but we talk about how because we're so attached to screens and distractions in our phones, it's hard for us to be transparent because we're not talking. We're not communicating to each other on deep levels like every day. So
I was just gonna say, when you're so focused on being a consumer of media, it makes it hard for you to, like, if you're so focused on taking in, like, there's no point where you actually are opening yourself up to bear yourself.
Dang. Wow.
Because it's a total opposite reaction or total opposite action. Like when you're taking in media, you're focused on the actual consumption of what you're actually reading or seeing or entertainment. You're taking in or looking to see what can I get as far as enjoyment from this, versus like transparency, especially in conversation and with your spouse and in your marriage. It requires you to actually cut off the consumption and to be able to fully engage in, it's kind of like sex. Like, you have to be able to cut off everything else around you and focus in on that oneness with each other, to be able to bear yourself fully before them, to be able to connect. Because, especially if you're going to be transparent, like if we're going to be transparent, or if you're going to be transparent with your spouse, you have to be able to, first off, listen. Eye contact is important, obviously. And then, of course, there is the actual understanding. And then also you have to be willing to talk about the stuff that you may not feel comfortable talking about. And so there's going to
be willing to be uncomfortable.
Right. Ooh. Yeah. And so I think there's a certain level of, what's the word?
I don't know.
The perception in society is very much a consumer-based hustle, take mindset. And we're trained.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, we're consumers, but I think the biggest part of consuming is that we just get distracted, and the things that we're distracted by are almost like kind of a numbing. You know, like watching TV all day feels good because you're relaxing. You don't have to do anything really. Scrolling through your phone all day feels nice because you're not doing anything. But it's fine for a little bit of time, I think. But if you're constantly doing that, especially in regards to hanging out and spending time with your spouse or having conversations with your spouse, then you're not being an active participant, I think. And that's really, to me, what the screens do. Like, in regards to, I work with kids. So when parents talk about how they limit screen time and things like that, I think a little bit of screen time is good, like everything in moderation. But I think what the screen time does is limits your child's active participation in their learning and in life, the same way it does for adults. Like, we are attached to a screen all the time. We're not actively participating in our own lives, in our own relationships, and in our own marriages at that point, because we're so attached to this thing that's mind numbing and conditioning us in ways that are not healthy. And I think that's where the limit on transparency comes in, because we're not, like, we're having surface level conversations, I think, sometimes with people who we have deep relationships with.
Right.
Like, marriage is a serious relationship.
Oh, I was just going to say, because I was reading something. No, I was listening on YouTube to something.
Hey, Alex.
And so it was one of those things. They were talking about how God calls us to relationship, not religion or routine or ritual. So, like, he wants us to be able to build in relationship with him versus like just doing a routine thing. Like, for example, it's the same way in your marriage. Like, it can't be routine. Like, the routine questions might be like, hey, how was your day? Everything was good. And that's it. Like, if that's how it is every day, oh, how was your day? It was fine. It was good. What's for dinner? Okay, cool. Well, you want to watch TV? Bam. Time to go sleep. Hey, have a good day. Bye. See you later. You know, like, if it's just routine conversation, there is no deeper growth or connection with each other. There's no transparency that evolves from that. And so, like, transparency calls for a deeper level of openness, a deeper level of, like I said, bearing. Like, you have to fully bear yourself. And I think, so I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I think it kind of relates to like Adam and Eve in the garden. And so you have, in the beginning, you know, God makes Adam, and then he makes Eve from his rib. And so when Adam first sees Eve, like, she's fully bared before him. God presents Eve before Adam fully bared, and Adam is fully bared before Eve.
Naked.
And so they are fully naked, unashamed, completely everything bared before each other. He finds her completely beautiful, and they are joined together in marriage. And so what happens is, in her eating the fruit and him eating the fruit of the tree that they're not supposed to, like, in their disobedience and in their rebellion, you have shame.
Shame came in.
You have, from that shame, they choose to cover up to hide from themselves and from God. But the first thing is they hide from themselves. They hide their naked bodies. What was fully bared before each other in complete, fully openness, in complete truth, in complete without shame. Now that same openness is now considered shameful. Like that transparency is considered shameful between the two of them. So they're no longer transparent. They cover up what is between each other. They have shame for what is naturally a part of who they are and initially how they were created, and they hide from each other. They distrust each other and they blame one another. And so
shaming and blaming.
Shame and shame brings lack of transparency. Lack of transparency and shame leads to hiding from one another, which leads to distrust with one another, which leads to a huge breakdown in the actual communication and in the actual marriage. It leads to a breakdown where there is no love, or basically there's infighting.
That was good. That's really true. Like when you think about it, Adam and Eve were naked and unashamed, and they were vulnerable with each other. And then I think, honestly, we as, I guess, partners or a married couple, I think we're always trying to get back to the original intention of marriage, which was being open and naked and unashamed in front of each other. But because of our fallen nature and because, sin entered the world, we do struggle with that now. Like it's hard for us to really bear ourselves, even with our spouse, which is supposed to be the next greatest relationship in your life under God.
Right.
So if we hide from our spouse, it's almost like we are hiding from God, because that relationship has so much power and so much emphasis in the kingdom of God, in the kingdom of heaven.
Well, I take it to a whole other level as far as, because for me, I told you this from like a long time ago. I was initially getting married because we did the threefold cord thing at our ceremony. And so for me, I always look at it as like, I'm one of the cords, you're one of the cords, and God's one of the cords. And so we have a threefold, binding between the three of us in marriage. So as I'm married to you, I'm married to him. And so if I do anything, like if there's any, like if I was to cheat on you, I'd be cheating on God. If I'm lying to you, I'm lying to God in the midst of it. If I'm hiding from you, I'm also hiding from God. Right. And so in that, how I treat you will be also, and it will end up reflecting how I treat God too. Yeah. At least that's how I feel it. Because it's a matter, like, as the closest person to me, as far as like physically, emotionally, spiritually bound, everything that's connected there. Like, if I can treat you a certain type of way, that means that most likely, who I can see you, like the God that I cannot see, who's invisible to me, it's going to reflect and affect how I treat him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the marriage relationship is so obviously connected to the relationship of Christ and us. I mean, that's what it says in the Bible. Husbands, I feel like I say this all the time, but husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church. Like that was the original intention, and it still is the intention. It's just because we're human and because we're falling into sin, it can be difficult. So I think my question is just, and we could probably stop and read the comments in a second, because I agree with a lot of what you guys said.
Friendship first is very important.
Yeah. But I think that how do you think we can make transparency a bigger thing in marriage? Because I think it really is difficult in this day and age for us to be totally honest with our spouse, because it's so uncomfortable, and because I don't think we see enough representations of how that's supposed to happen and what that looks like.
I was just about to say that. I think it starts first with having an example or being an example. Like you choosing to decide to be transparent. Like, you have to make that decision first. Like, for me, like, the reason why we are where we are is because I made the initial decision when we were just getting started in our relationship. I said, we're going to be like 100% transparent in everything. Like, I ain't got nothing to hide. You ain't going to have nothing to hide.
I remember you said it was like our second or third date. I think you said this is a judgment-free zone. That was what you said. And I was like, what? Like, who is this guy? I barely know you. Of course you're going to judge me. What do you mean? It's a judgment-free zone. You don't know me. I could be crazy.
I don't even know why I said that, honestly.
I don't know. I really don't know why you did, but I was almost like intrigued because I was like, is he serious? Like, does he really mean I can just be myself and he won't judge me? And I think you said it, even though I don't know how honest you were being then, or if you really meant it, but I think you were speaking into our future.
I was, I think.
Because
the Spirit was speaking through me for our future.
Yes and amen. Because now I believe we're there. It took us a minute to get there, but hey, judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
Hello.
And I think, to be honest, outside of like that initial choice and then us becoming that example, I agree with Alex as far as like, you got to be totally honest with yourself first. And I think for me, before I met you, I had gone through a point in time in my life where I went through a depression and I went through actually being broken down, and then God had to build me back up. And I had to be truly honest with myself about a lot of things that had gone on in my life and accept a lot of things and really see who I actually was.
Yeah.
And to be okay with that. And then once I was honest with myself first, then I can be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think like you have to be able to like stop lying to yourself so that way you can stop lying to other people.
Yeah.
Like that's first off. Like if you're going to be transparent, like you got to be transparent with yourself. Like if you can't be transparent with yourself as far as like who you are and accepting your past and your current time, present, and accepting your decisions as far as like you are where you are because of the things that you've actually done, and accepting who God is calling you to be, it's going to be hard for you to be able to have like open, transparent, conversations with other people. Because if you can't accept or see who you are, you're not going to be able to share that with other people.
Yeah.
You're going to be ashamed of who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important. I agree with that. But I think one of the biggest things that led to us being able to have that transparency was because I was actually I was honest and okay with myself. And I think that led to you being able to open the door for that for yourself. And then like you growing to a certain point and then us actually going together to a certain level of connection where we're fully able to be transparent as we are now. And that took God helping me there and God helping you there and God helping us together to get there, and a lot of growth. But I think what also helped me too is I saw a couple examples of people being transparent. Like they bare the dark parts of their past, and that allowed me to see like it's okay for me to be transparent about that stuff. Like I have nothing to be ashamed about. It's literally what the things I've gone through is all part of my testimony, and God has redeemed every part of it to be used for His glory.
Ooh. Oh. Yeah. Oh.
So.
Oh, I wanted to say something about that because Jamel said sometimes people can't handle the truth, and I think that's very. Oh, I don't know what I did. But I think that's very true. And like, I was reading that while you were talking, and I was like, there were some things that I started to find out about you that were hard truths. And I think I had to, and I will probably be more transparent about this later on. It's a longer story. But I think I had to really ask myself if I could handle the truth. But at the end of the day, I married you. And I have to accept you as you are,
right,
as your spouse,
right.
In imitating Adam and Eve in the beginning, being able to be naked and unashamed and accepting of our nudity and our barren, or what's the word, our openness, I guess, So I had to come to terms with some hard truths about you, about myself. And it really is kind of giving yourself and your spouse grace.
Right. That's huge. Like, and I think it's also realizing that like the grace doesn't come from you. Like you are literally the conduit for God's grace to flow through you to the people around you. Like his love flows through you to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I also look at it this way too. Like he is the true and faithful witness. And so like his truth flows through me to help me to be a faithful, truthful witness too. Like if he can be transparent, then like he helps me and gives me the grace and power to be transparent. Yeah. And I think as far as to tie it to Jamel, I definitely agree. As far as like sacrifice is really huge. And I think transparency is a level of sacrifice. Like you have to sacrifice your, you flipped it.
That's what happens when I start messing with the camera, people.
You shouldn't have did that.
Back to what you were saying. You were about to say something so good.
Yeah, so I think transparency is a level of sacrifice because like it's literally you deciding I'm not going to keep the parts of myself to myself. And so you have to be willing to literally open up the parts that you would consider the dark, secret parts of yourself that you would want to hide away and literally just be like, I'm going to put this all out here. And like, I'm going to hope that you accept me, that you don't actually look at me any type of way, that this doesn't change how our relationship is or our marriage or doesn't affect as far as any of that stuff. It literally is a sacrifice of my pride. And so I have to like humble myself and say, hey, this is all of me.
Yeah.
And like, I may not be as comfortable with certain parts of me, like this blemish here, this spot here, these things I did back then, you know, the things I say, you know, these parts of my character as far as like how I go about things sometimes, like this is who I am.
Yeah.
Like, can you accept all of this? and I think some of that too is like the thing that helps us to really stick to that commitment of that sacrifice and actually helping as far as accepting other people's sacrifice is the fact like, first off, the Spirit empowers us with grace to be able to move forward in that sacrifice. But I think also like Jesus is the example. Mm-hmm. Because he he sacrificed for us, but he also accepts our sacrifice. Like our response to his sacrifice is like our sacrifice.
Say more.
So, okay, he died on the cross for us, right? And so his saving work was his sacrifice for us. Mm-hmm. Our sacrifice is in our response to that by accepting his saving work and saying, it's not my own power that will save me. I have to sacrifice my pride and my own efforts and my desire to take control of my life and my soul and my salvation and my eternity. I am accepting and sacrificing that and saying, Lord, I accept your sovereign will over my life as Lord, and I accept what you have done on my behalf, and I trust in you.
That part right there.
And I will have confidence that you will bring me through this life into the next life. And so that is, it's like a huge, it's really, I guess it's the mystery of marriage in the church to Jesus. Mm-hmm. And how Paul looks at it, I think is really interesting now that I think about it. It's like, that's the biggest mystery, like his sacrifice for us and our sacrifice of those parts to him.
I like that. You have to sacrifice all the way around. Yes. The human experience is about sacrifice. It is. As evidenced by Jesus.
He called us to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Yeah. So
it is transparency is a sacrifice.
Yep.
But it is worth it. You know, like every sacrifice, it comes with a reward.
Yep.
You know, and for us, I think when we got to a place where we realized it was just easier to bear all than it was to hold stuff back and like suffer separately by ourselves, it just opened up, I think, a new space for us to be in. Like it changed our marriage,
right?
For us to just be who we are as we are with each other, you know. Like I feel like I can really be super honest with you and you don't get offended, or even if you do get offended, you can tell me at least.
Right.
And we don't have to keep our feelings away from each other. And it's hard to do that, but it's worth it and it's necessary, because that's really the only way to be, what's the word? To just be in a safe space with your spouse, knowing that you can bear all and still be loved and still be accepted. And it's work to get there. It is really hard. It is work to get there. It's not easy. You definitely have to be intentional about the conversations that you have, because it's like you said earlier, it's easy to fall into a routine of, hey, how are you? Oh, I picked up the kids. Oh, you need something from the grocery store, and just not having difficult conversations and not having deep conversations. Okay. But it's worth it. It's worth it to do it, to put in the work, to be transparent, because it is work. It is work and it is sacrifice, and it takes time, intention, and effort to do, but it's worth it.
I think that's true. I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so I think about two scriptures that come to mind as far as like it's more, you're more, well, I'm about to butcher it. It's more, you're blessed to give. It's better to give than to receive. And then also I think about, as far as like Jesus didn't think highly that he would give up his riches of his glory in order that in our poor state that we would be made rich through him in order to basically be redeemed. Like he saw what propelled him to continue with his choice of obedience to the cross and then death. Like he saw our redemption, and he took great joy in the future that he saw, which allowed him, like his giving, he saw the blessing, and he saw the fellowship and the connection that would be such a greater glory that we would all be in a part of together.
Yep.
Like that, the glory after was better than the sacrifice.
For the greater glory. You do it for the greater glory. Hallelujah. Yeah. I just thought about that. Like, think about the glory God gets when you are transparent and bearing all in your marriage. Like you said, it's like sex. And I know God gets the glory from sex in a married couple. Okay. God be getting the glory. So I'm just saying, it really is. It's the same thing. Like bearing if we can bear our bodies to one another, why not bear our souls and our hearts and our minds?
Yep.
And we're bearing other things. We open it up in other ways. Why not just open up with everything? Right?
I think there's no deeper connection than when you can connect on all levels.
Yeah.
Like, okay, for example, this goes back to, I think it's the Shema, you love the Lord, hear, O Israel, the Lord is one. So worship the Lord with all of your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. Like, so on all levels, God asks for us to love him with our mind, love him with our heart, love him with our soul, love him with our strength. So it's kind of the same thing, like love your spouse, be transparent with your spouse, with your mind, with your heart, with your soul, and with your being. And
it is scary. It is dangerous. That's the dangerous zone. But it's so good.
Yeah.
That's the only word I can describe, Like I really feel like you are one of my best friends. And gosh, because I can tell you things, Yeah. Well,
I think that is truth. Honest to God truth.
Marriage can't work without God.
I think that is absolute truth.
Yeah. I think marriage is just not at its best without God.
I mean, think about this. God made marriage.
Yeah.
So how would it work without him?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, okay, for example, God is the source of life. If you try to operate life without his spirit and his breath in us, we will not live. It's the same operating factor. He is the source of it, and so we need him in it in order for it to operate, especially at its best. Like, if you try to operate outside of it, it's literally on a trajectory to die.
Oof. It's dead. Oh.
Or it's not a marriage in the first place. It's just an arrangement. It's a business arrangement.
Be like that sometimes.
I know some people who have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. Are we done? Are we still going? I don't know.
I guess we're good.
I think we had other things we wanted to talk about.
I didn't really ask no questions.
And we done went on a whole tangent.
It's all good. It's almost 9:10 now.
We done went on a whole tangent. I don't even think we said what we were supposed to say.
No, I think we did say what we were supposed to say.
We did say what we were supposed to say. You are right. Holy Spirit said, that's it. That was it. All right, guys. Well, this conversation has been good. Thanks.
I appreciate all you guys for commenting in the chat there.
Yeah, y'all were giving out nuggets. Okay, nuggets. Nuggets
y'all
today.
Were doing it. Y'all were live.
Yes.
God equals rules equals domestic. Without God equals wild.
Wild.
Wild West.
Yep. It's like that.
So
we in the wild.
I said this the other night, right? I said God makes boundaries, right? And he says everything within the boundaries is for our good. Everything outside the boundaries is going to lead to death. It's bad stuff outside these boundaries. I'm going to set these boundaries for you.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about it is I don't look at the boundaries and say, why you boxing me in, God? I said, ooh, so everything in here is good? Awesome. I got freedom to do whatever I want within these boundaries since everything inside these boundaries is good. So I have freedom without concern or fear of consequences because God has given me all good within his boundaries.
Yeah.
But if I try to operate outside those boundaries, well, that ain't nothing but the wilderness. I don't know what's about to happen out there. So there's constant paranoia about what's going to happen. And so you got freedom out there, but there's freedom without safety. I'd rather have freedom without fear of consequences and complete safety, knowing that everything is for my good and is greater, than trying to be out there trying to have freedom with stress, pain, and consequences and all kind of mess. This man tripping over fries, man.
I think somebody's hungry. Is that what it is?
I think he probably
You
is.
need dinner? Or are you fed? I'm fed. This conversation fed me. And I now it's time to go to bed.
I like that segue.
What?
I like that segue.
Did you like that?
I did.
Okay. All right, y'all.
Well, love you guys. Appreciate everybody hopping on. And all those who are going to be watching this on replay. Guys, we appreciate y'all hopping on our lives. Definitely for those of you who have not yet, check out our YouTube channel. Check out the videos there because not everything that we do is on this actual Facebook. We do our lives on here and we do the replay. We put the replay up on the YouTube, and then a lot of stuff is on our YouTube channel as far as our series and stuff that we do. So definitely make sure to do that. And also we have a Spotify too, where the audio is there too. So guys, definitely subscribe, check out, continue to be here with us as we continue on with this.
Yeah.
As God has called us.
We love you guys. We're thankful. Oh, drop the link. I don't know how to do that. I don't know these things. But here's the thing.
I'll put it in the...
You gonna comment it somewhere?
Yeah, I'll comment in there. Okay. But it is on our if you're on our Facebook page, it's literally within our description too.
Yeah, I think it's in our about section or something like that.
Yeah. The
link. But we'll add it to the YouTube link. Yep, we'll send it. All right, y'all. Love ya.
Love you guys. Later.
Have a good night. Thanks for hanging with us.
It was fun.
Have a happy Friday.
Night. I feel like these endings always be like super long.
Yeah, because we keep talking. That's why. Bye.